US 35 is back open this morning after a rollover crash forced part of the eastbound lanes to shut down for hours. 4 people rushed to the hospital after 3 cars collided in Jefferson Township. It happened overnight on Route 4 near Manning Road. When police got here, that car was just dangling off this cliff. Luckily, that rail and awning were here to stop her. But if she would have fallen through, you could see how deep this fall is, and she possibly could have gone into this apartment. Police say that manager was just finishing up her shift at this movie theater, and as she was walking to her car and this parking lot, that's when the gunman was waiting outside of her car and shot her through the window. When you're driving, both hands should be on the wheel and your eyes should be on the road, and taking your eyes off the road for just a second to make a phone call or a text can be deadly. Once that snow and ice melts, we're finding potholes like this, and we've been measuring it this morning, and I can take about 6 big steps. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each step is about 3 feet, so we're guessing this is about 18 feet long. It was 100 years ago this week. After raining for several days, several levees broke, sending the waters of the Miami River rushing down to downtown Dayton. And so I'm here this morning with Jeff Williams, and just released a book in February called Washed Away. This is about the Great Flood of 1913. There were some people who were sent to the hospital. We're still waiting to get an update on their condition, but as you can see, fire crews are still here this morning, and this fire caused a lot of damage. And just about after 3 o'clock, that's when the fire department came out to this apartment complex, and a witness tells us that a neighbor woke him up and told him to get out. Then within minutes, that fire grew larger. Now, the residents on the bottom level were able to make it out, but 7 people were trapped on that second level. And the fire chief tells us that there's only one exit in that main building, and that fire blocked the exit from the second floor. Now, the fire chief says 3 people had to jump out from that second floor, and 4 others were rescued by ladder. But 3 people, again, were taken to the hospital. At this point, we're still waiting to get an update on their condition. But the fire chief says that those who made it out were lucky.
It could have been devastating. I mean, it could have been tragic. I mean, there could have been lives lost, but fortunately, the people on the bottom floors were able to get out. The people, while they had to jump, while they're injured, they're still alive.
And we're told a total of 15 people are now without a home. And this apartment complex has 7 units, and we're told the Red Cross will come in to help those who need it. But right now, the cause of this fire is still unknown. We're told within the next couple of hours, investigators will come in to go through that building to take pictures, just kind of figure out what caused it all. But now you can see crews are still here on the scene, just really making sure that fire is completely out. But coming up in the next half hour, you'll hear from one of the residents in this apartment complex and those scary moments that he had before he had to get out. Reporting live in Troy, Amber Watson, ABC 22 News. Monday through Friday, Dayton school buses transport 15,000 students. I spoke to a driver who says that commute could be putting students in danger. This year, the bus drivers in Dayton are noticing a larger load of students piling onto their buses.
There's a shortage of drivers, there's a shortage of buses, so they're starting to cram as many kids as they can on buses.
Dayton's news source obtained this hidden camera video from inside a Dayton school bus. You can clearly see students spilling into the aisle.
It's a disaster waiting to happen.
A driver we spoke to did not want to be identified, but tells us the bus is designed to hold up to 70 passengers. But that requires students to sit 3 to a seat. Not an easy fit with many larger students.
70 kids is a lot, so you will have them spilling out into the aisleways and stuff like that, and it's impossible for the driver to see out of the back because of the crowd of the kids.
James Harris, a chief operating officer at Dayton Public Schools, says under a state mandate, they are now required to fill the buses. In previous years, drivers had less students.
We looked at our bus stops, we looked at our routing, and we realized to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, we have to operate at full capacity. We can't afford to have 200 buses running a route. We now have 172.
But at least one bus driver says that's not good enough.
Most of the buses are really, really overcrowded. And with wintertime coming up, those buses slide, and it's going to be a serious safety issue if it's not addressed.
These buses are safer than anything you and I drive on the road unless we're both driving a Hummer. The drivers need to be, and they are being trained to operate in a different manner.
Harris says if drivers have too many students to the point where there are not any seats available, it's up to the driver to report it, and then adjustments will be made.
No one's without a seat, and if it is, they should immediately call dispatch and another bus will be sent out.
The driver I talked to tells me supervisors were notified about the overflow of students on the bus, but the issue continues to be ignored. Reporting from the newsroom, Amber Watson, Dayton's News Source. The American Heart Association says women should only have about 6 teaspoons of sugar a day, and men can have 9 teaspoons of added sugar, but the problem is we're eating much more than that. We talked to a few shoppers at Dorothy Lane to see if they have any idea of how much sugar they eat in a day.
Oh, I don't know, maybe 14?
0 to 1.
I don't use a great deal like my coffee or anything like that, but I couldn't tell you an exact number.
That's part of the problem. Even if you are counting each teaspoon of sugar added to your coffee or tea, there's more hidden in foods you wouldn't suspect, like the spaghetti sauce, which has 10 grams of sugar a serving. That's about 3 teaspoons. Bread is another culprit. This shopper was shocked when reading the label.
And it does say sugar.
It does say sugar. And are you surprised that there's that much sugar in the bread?
Yeah, I am, considering it's a wheat bread too.
High amounts of sugar is also making its way into baby food. I spoke to dietitian Rich Cohen with Kettering Health, who says parents should limit the amount of fruit the baby gets.
They don't want that baby to get hooked on sugar foods, because when you try to feed the baby vegetables, the baby will not accept the vegetables, because we, once again, having a natural preference for sugar, they're going to go for the more sweetened foods. And you might kind of skew their tastes for the rest of their lives.
Sugar not only causes diabetes, obesity, and kidney disease, but it also has been linked to depression and fatigue. Sugar has been called a poison because it too can kill you, and it's highly addictive.
That person having a lot of sugar probably wants to find that sensation throughout many different foods.
Cohen explains what words shoppers need to look out for when reading labels.
Sugars, they end in OSE, OS. So if you see something that has the OSE ending, it's a sugar, and it's in many, many different forms in food.
That includes sucrose, corn syrup, and also watch out for fruit juice concentrates. Janice Parker says she avoids foods that list high fructose corn syrup in the ingredients, but even that can be a trap. We found that out while comparing ketchup bottles in her shopping basket.
I did get the no high fructose corn syrup, 4 grams. Here's the regular ketchup. And it has 4 grams of sugar. I'm not saving much here. Even though it says, you know, no high fructose corn syrup, doesn't necessarily mean it's any better for you.
So before heading home with a bag full of groceries, here's one tip. The more processed, the more sugar. Reporting in Dayton, Amber Watson, Fox 45.